Hello and welcome back. I'm Corey Milne, and if you haven't seen the WandaVision season finale, go watch that and then come back because there's going to be spoilers. In my review of the finale, I said it was going to be very interesting watching the audience reaction to the episode over the weekend, and it definitely has. There seems to have been more discussions had and articles written about the audience reaction to the finale than the finale itself, which is a shame because it was good. And that's what I want to talk about today. I just want to try and break down what happened and why the audience reaction was so strong this time. Because this isn't the first time this has happened. If you cast your mind back to when Iron Man 3 came out, audiences were up in arms over the fact that Ben Kingsley's character was revealed to not in fact be the villain, the Mandarin, as he was set up to be, but was just some out-of-work actor playing the part of the terrorist group leader. A punchline reveal not too dissimilar from the fake Pietro reveal in WandaVision, which was actually inspired by the Mandarin reveal in Iron Man 3. Personally, I was a fan of the Mandarin reveal in Iron Man 3, I thought it was pretty funny, but I know I was in the minority there because people were furious that this iconic Iron Man villain had been reduced to a joke. In Marvel one-shot All Hail the King, it was revealed that the real Mandarin is still out there, and we will actually see more of that in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings due out next year, as actor Tony Leung, apologies if I mispronounced the name, has been cast as the real Mandarin in that. So it goes to show that Marvel do respond to fan backlash, and nowadays they actually have a pretty unique relationship with their audience, which I want to come back to later. One of the best headlines I read about this whole thing was from Collider, and it read, "WandaVision failed to deliver things that were never promised to me." And I think that kind of captures the whole thing really well. The article itself's a bit heavy-handed, being tongue-in-cheek. It's written from the point of an entitled fan, but it's still quite funny. But they do make a good point. It's almost become a sport for some people watching these movies to see how many Easter eggs they can catch, the most deep-cut reference they can find, and all these hints to future projects. But they're kind of missing the point. Yes, it's fun to try and work out where all this craziness is going to go, but what makes Marvel so special is that they have so many good, deep, rich characters for you to get invested in. You know, we've grown up with them, we've grown attached to them. You have fights with your pals about why your guy could kick the other guy's ass, you know? Watch the movies, enjoy the movies, don't get so caught up trying to get hyped about the future that you forget to enjoy the present. That was oddly profound. I think people need to be a wee bit more realistic when they're setting their expectations for what's actually going to be in these movies and shows. There's a lot more restrictions on what they can and can't do versus in the comics. And movies and TV shows take a long time to make, and actors, like all people, age. They can only appear in so many movies in their lifetime, and not all of them are going to be Marvel movies, so that instantly cuts down the amount of time they can actually appear as this one character. And that limits the amount of stories that they can adapt and tell. You know, not every Marvel villain is going to get their shot, not everything can get adapted straight from the comics. Hell, at this point you can't really even trust a Marvel trailer. Like I said earlier, there's this weird relationship formed between Marvel Studios and their audience, where these eagle-eyed lore genius theory-making fans have kind of forced Marvel to start putting misleading shots in their trailers to completely throw people off the scent so that they have absolutely no idea what to expect going into their movies. And one of the best examples of this is this shot from the Infinity War trailer. This was never in the movie at all. This shot was made exclusively for the trailer to throw people off. It's almost become a game, you know, but that in itself can be dangerous, as WandaVision showed. I think a lot of people were really unhappy about the fake out with the Quicksilver Pietro reveal being resorted to a pretty forced dick joke.
Boner.
And I was among them at first. I'm still not happy about the dick joke, but there was really no way for Marvel to win with the Quicksilver Pietro reveal being what it was. People were going to be upset no matter how they approached it. They wanted Pietro in the show, but it couldn't be Aaron Taylor Johnson because it literally had to be somebody else. So if they had cast literally anybody else, the audience wouldn't have been fooled and that whole layer of mystery would have been completely removed from the show. We would have known straight away that it wasn't Pietro. So by casting Evan Peters, Marvel was actually able to fool enough people into thinking they had actually done a multiverse switcheroo, and that added just this extra layer of immersion for the audience. But if you think about it, there's no amount of expository dialogue or flashback scenes that could make the Fox Quicksilver coming into the MCU the way that he did make sense. So the guy that died in Age of Ultron, this is him from the Fox movies, but the Fox movies don't actually matter now. So they're not related, but they are related through the multiverse. But anyway, WandaVision was never touted as having the multiverse be a core part of the show. That, shockingly, is being reserved for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which this is where things get confusing, because that was initially supposed to come out straight after WandaVision this year, but due to COVID, the entire Marvel Phase 4 slate got shuffled. WandaVision director Matt Shakman said on Kevin Smith's Fat Man Beyond podcast, that's a mouthful in itself, that COVID-19 did have a significant impact on WandaVision's production, with the shooting schedule affected. Some VFX shots weren't finished in time for the show, so they had to be cut, and other scenes were rewritten to accommodate what they had and could work with. So with the Doctor Strange sequel being pushed back by almost a year, they may have actually wanted WandaVision to tie in much more closely with it, but they simply weren't able to make it happen due to COVID. Some of those tie-ins may have been in WandaVision to start with, but due to the fact that they weren't getting resolved for almost a year, they may have been confusing or just unsatisfying for test audiences. So at least for some of WandaVision's flaws, it's maybe just a case of Marvel doing the best they could with the situation. But there is no excuse for Ralph Boner. I think WandaVision is going to make for a great rewatch. It'll be really nice going into it with a fresh perspective and not having to worry if every little detail is going to tie into something much bigger down the line. It's a great story that adds depth to two characters who kinda needed it, and it does a really good job of setting up a lot of future Marvel projects that are coming out over the next couple of years. I just hope that this hasn't soured the audience on Marvel's Disney Plus stuff, because they've got a lot of it coming out over the next year, and it looks pretty good. What about you? Did you enjoy WandaVision, or were you swept up in the hype and ended up disappointed by it? Or were you somewhere in the middle like me? Leave a comment and let me know. I've got a Falcon and the Winter Soldier video coming out in the next couple of days, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.